Alrighty, so I am using a different camera, which means I'm down here in the lower right-hand corner instead. So our learning target for today is plotting rational numbers. So we're going to learn what a rational number is, and then we're going to plot them on number lines and coordinate grids. You've used these your whole life, you just haven't called them rational numbers yet. So remember, expectations are to pause the video and make sure you're writing things down. You're listening as well. You're not just pausing and just watching, you are listening as well. And then after the video, reflecting, did any of this make sense? What questions do you still have? And make sure you ask those questions to me or to someone else that you rely on and trust their answers. All right, so I am in a new notebook because I ran out of paper in my old one. So I'm starting a new table of contents, but continuing our page numbers. So we are on plot rational numbers for page 20, which will be just the next page in this notebook. So here is our title. There's our learning target if you want to pause and write that down. And I'm going to pause the video so that we can get to the next piece. All right, so we're going to go over what rational numbers are. You've already heard what integers are. We spent the whole last unit on those, and you've used whole numbers the rest of your life before this. So an example of a whole number would be 0 or 4. Whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, and all your other counting numbers. So starting with 0 and then getting into the counting numbers, also called natural numbers. Integers, we add in whole numbers. We also add in the negatives. So they're the exact same thing as whole numbers. So they are whole numbers with negatives. So negative 10, negative 11, negative 12, negative 13, and so on and so forth. These two things we spent a lot of time working on. Now we're going to add in rational numbers. So examples of rational numbers would be negative 1 and 2 repeating, and then negative 2/3, 5 and 8/10, 3.5. Notice we have some negatives, we have some positives, we have some mixed numbers, we have proper fractions, we have decimals, we have repeating decimals. So a rational number is any number that can be written as a fraction. Notice that that includes integers because we can write negative 10 as negative 10 over 1. We can write 4 as 4 over 1 or 0 as 0 over 1. So integers and whole numbers are actually fractions or are rational numbers. We just don't see the ones because they're there and it's just so many of them. Why write them? So they're invisible ones. They do exist. We just don't write them. So that's what a rational number is, an integer and a whole number, and how they're all related. The last two pieces of our notes, we're going to have part of our notes going over plot on a number line. And then the other half of our notes is going to be plot on a coordinate grid. So if you want to pop those up there, can I zoom out? Nope, it's not what I wanted to do. Nope. I don't know how to zoom out. I'll do it manually. Okay, so that's the last part of our notes. We'll be plotting on a number line and plotting on a coordinate grid, if you want to label those. Okay, so if we're plotting on a number line, I'm going to, in the middle, draw a number line, starting with 0 in the middle. I'm going to go up to positive 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then go down to negative 5. All right, and I'm going to pause the video. All right, we're going to plot these, and I'm going to plot them in green. Let's do that. Okay, so for A, I want to plot negative 3.5. So pause the video and think, where do you think it should be? Put your finger there. Okay, so negative 3.5. I'm going to go down 3.5. So negative 3.5 is right here. Negative 3.5. Negative 1/4. Where do you think that should be? I'm going to go left 1/4. So this is negative 1/4. Where's negative 3? There's negative 3. It's already labeled. Okay. 4.5. I'm going to go positive 4.5. Negative 1 2/3. Pause the video. See if you can do these last two on your own. So negative 1 2/3 should be around here. And 2 8/10 is about here. Now, the next question is wondering, where are the opposites? So, what is the opposite of negative 3.5? Positive 3.5. So that would be over here. Where's the opposite of negative 1/4? Positive 1/4. Notice that the same distance from 0, they're symmetrical. All right, negative 3, the opposite is positive 3. Positive 4.5 is negative 4.5. Negative 1 2/3, positive 1 2/3 more. Positive 2 8/10, negative 2 8/10. Oop, I made it a fraction instead of a decimal, but you get the gist. Okay, so making sure opposites are on the opposite side of 0, but same distance from 0. And then notice that as I go negative 3.5, I keep going to the left that extra half, because that's going to catch some people a lot. All right, I'm going to pause the video. Now, mine looks pretty decently straight because I've done this for over 6 years, okay? So I want you to take your time drawing straight lines. So draw a number line up and down, and then have it intersect and connect with another number line going left to right. I have 10 tick marks on each part of my number line, so make sure you have 10 tick marks. Try to make them as evenly spaced as possible. That will help us and make an accurate coordinate grid. So make sure they're straight lines. Include the arrows on each end of your number line, because these number lines keep going for forever, and make sure your tick marks are evenly spaced. Okay, so now that you have that, we're going to label some pieces of what they are and what they're called, and then we're going to label some points. So, sure, I'll use green. So our horizontal axis, our number line, has a fancy name. So our horizontal number line is called our x-axis. Our vertical number line is called our y-axis. So this allows us to be more precise, like with longitude and latitude of our directions and placement of things, because I can specifically tell you a direction. Versus one number line, I can tell you this point, but I don't know where on this point it is. I need an exact location. Having two number lines help us pinpoint that. So next thing, we also divide, as you can see, there's 4 different sections. So these sections are called quadrants, quad meaning 4. So quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3. I'm going to brighten this exposure. There we go. And quadrant 4. We use Roman numerals for our quadrants. Notice that this I is 1, so 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. Now, because this order is funky, this is actually 5 minus 1, which gets us 4. So, random information. I have 4 quadrants, and then we have a special coordinate in the middle. So this middle coordinate is called the origin. It's where we start from, and we start there because the x is 0 and the y is 0. So notice that that is describing the location. It's telling me that my x going left to right is starting at 0, and my y going up and down is starting at 0. And the way I can tell that it's a location is because there's a comma in between the x and the y, and there are parentheses. So it's showing me that this is how we write a coordinate, so we all know what we're talking about. We're making sure we communicate the exact same idea together. So I'm gonna pause the video again. Okay, so I want you to pause the video after you wrote these down if you want to write them down, or you can just plot them from my list. So I have my list here. I want you to put these letters where they belong on the coordinate grid or coordinate plane or graph, okay? All those words mean the exact same thing. So for A, this is X and then Y. Remember, it's X and then Y. So I'm horizontally, I'm starting at the origin. I'm going right to +5. And then I'm going to go up 6. So think about that. Pause the video. Can you at least get A and B both on the graph? I'm going to go one at a time. So you're welcome to pause, check, pause, check, pause, and check. Okay? So let's do light blue. Okay. So for A, I'm going to go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And those meet right there. Okay, so that's A. Right. That's the point. B, I'm going to go left 3 and up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that one's B. C, I have nothing going left or right. I'm starting at 0 on the X, but I'm going down 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. D, I'm going left 10, which I know there's 10 because I counted 10, and I'm not going up or down, so that would be D. E, -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half, but then going down 9, which is not quite all the way. Then for F, I'm going to go right 3, 6, 7, 8 and a half. And go down 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. Notice these are just estimates because we're not actually on graph paper. So I know it's going to be kind of estimating. Okay. G, I'm going down a half, or no, left a half, and going down 1, 2 and a half. G. Awesome. So how many of those did you get out of the 3, 6, 7 that were there? What did you get? And then the other thing I want to have you practice is, what is the coordinate? I know you can't see my face. Woo, I'm over here. There we go. So what is the coordinate for A? Did you write 1.5? 1.5? Then you're awesome. Okay. What's the coordinate for B? Did you write 1/2, comma, -3/4? Awesome. And then, which I guess I should write these up here. So you should have 1.5, comma, 1.5. This one is 1/2, comma, 3/4. Oh, -3/4. C, -2, comma, -1.5. All right, can you do D? Pause the video. So -3/4, comma, 1 1/4. Awesome. All right. If you got all of those, then you understand it. If you didn't get those, then you're not understanding it. So make sure that you're asking questions. And there is our after the video reflection, and we're good to go. Have a great day.